All right, today we're diving into something that's not just a small step, but a massive leap for artificial intelligence. We're talking about this shift from AI that just answers our questions to AI that actually achieves our goals. This right here is the proactive revolution of agentic AI. So let's start with this one big question, because it really gets to the heart of what's changing. Just think about it for a second. It's kind of like the difference between asking your phone for turn-by-turn directions versus just telling your self-driving car, hey, take me home. See? One follows commands, the other understands the goal. To make this super clear, let's use a simple test: planning a vacation. With the AI we're used to, it's this reactive, back-and-forth conversation. You have to ask about flights. You have to ask about hotels. You have to piece the whole thing together. You're basically the project manager. But with Agentic AI, it's completely proactive. You just give it the goal, plan a trip to Goa, and boom, the AI becomes the project manager. It figures out all the messy details and does the work for you.
So yeah, that jump from just answering questions to actually achieving goals is really what this is all about. So, what does it mean for an AI to be agentic? Let's put a proper definition on it.
The two words you really got to latch onto here are autonomously and adapts. See, an agent isn't just following some pre-written script. It gets what you're ultimately trying to do, and it can come up with its own plan. And, just as important, it can use its own judgment to handle whatever roadblocks pop up along the way. Okay, so theory is great and all, but this stuff really clicks when you see an agent in action. So let's walk through a pretty complex real-world job to see just how powerful this approach really is: hiring someone for a company. So put yourself in the shoes of a hiring manager. You're super busy, your plate is totally full. Instead of spending the next month juggling a million different tasks, you give your AI agent just one simple command: hire a backend engineer. That's it. You just let it go. The second you give that command, the agent is off to the races. It doesn't come back and ask, okay, so what should I do first? No way. It understands the end goal, and it immediately creates its own multi-step plan, breaking that big goal down into a logical series of steps.
And here we go, step 1 in action. The agent just goes and reads through your internal company docs to figure out salaries and responsibilities. It writes up a draft of the job description, and then it pauses. It checks back in with you, the human supervisor, for that critical thumbs up.
So, you give it the green light, and the agent moves on to the next step. It uses its tools, in this case APIs, to connect to sites like LinkedIn, and it posts the job everywhere it needs to be. But it doesn't just post it and walk away. Nope, it immediately starts watching for the applications to roll in.
But here's where it gets really interesting. What happens when the plan hits a snag? You know, a normal reactive chatbot would just sit there. It would wait for you to notice that there's a problem and tell it what to do. But an agent, well, an agent is a whole different ballgame.
Instead of just waiting around, the agent actually realizes there's a problem all on its own. It looks at the data, it reasons that the job title might be too narrow, and it comes up with a whole new strategy. And then it comes to you proactively with a solution. This right here, this is that autonomous, adaptive problem solving that makes agents so different.
And guess what? The new plan works. Applications start flooding in. Now the agent pulls out another tool from its toolbox, a resume parser, and it analyzes every single one. So instead of you having to spend hours sifting through resumes, it just hands you a clean, simple shortlist.
But it's not done yet. The agent then takes over all that tedious back and forth. It checks your calendar, finds some open times, talks to the top candidates, and gets the interviews on the books, all without you having to lift a finger. Seriously.
And it sees the whole thing through, right to the very end. After you've picked your candidate, the agent handles all the final steps. It drafts the offer letter, sends it out, and once it's accepted, it automatically kicks off the whole onboarding process. Goal complete.
So let's just take a step back. What did we just see in that HR example? We saw the AI planning, solving problems, using tools. This isn't just one magic trick. It's actually a combination of several key traits that make an AI truly agentic. Let's break those down.
You know, all 6 of these traits really have to work together. Autonomy lets it act on its own, but being goal-oriented is what gives it a purpose, a reason to act. Planning gives it the starting roadmap, but it's reasoning and adaptability that let it find a detour when there's a roadblock. And all the while, context awareness is like its memory, making sure it doesn't forget anything along the way. It's that whole package that turns it from a simple tool into an actual partner.
Okay, so you might be wondering, how does this all work under the hood? Like, how do you actually build one of these things?
Well, at a high level, it's basically a system made of 5 key parts all working in concert.
First up, you've got the brain. This is usually a big, large language model, and it does all the thinking and planning. Then you have the orchestrator, which is kind of like the project manager, making sure the plan gets executed step by step. The tools are the hands and legs. They let the agent actually do things in the real world, like search a database or use an API. Memory is what keeps all the context straight. And finally, you have the supervisor, which is that crucial human checkpoint for the big decisions.
All right, so we've covered what an agent is and a little bit about how it works. So now let's zoom out to the really big question. What does this all mean for us? What happens when this kind of autonomous AI is everywhere? Let's be really clear here. This is not just another small upgrade. This is a fundamental change in how we're going to interact with technology. We are moving away from AI as a simple conversation partner that we have to constantly babysit, and we're moving towards AI as an autonomous delegate that can actually own complex projects from start to finish.
The potential here is just absolutely massive. It could touch pretty much every single industry. And that leaves us with one final thing to think about as this technology keeps getting better and better. If you had an autonomous AI agent right now, ready to go, what's the first big, complicated goal you would give it?